In Casino, Remo Gaggi is the old boss in the background. He puts Ace in the Tangiers, puts Nicky on the streets, and when things go sideways, he makes the calls that end people's lives. But the movie was never about him. It was about Ace and Nicky. The real man behind Remo was Joey Aiuppa, and he had his own story. It was a story the film never had reason to tell. He built his power decades before Las Vegas, ran a skimming operation across 4 casinos, and ended up convicted in a case that broke the mob's grip on the casino industry for good. That story starts in 1907 in Melrose Park, Illinois, where Aiuppa was born, the son of Sicilian immigrants. He dropped out of school at 11, worked as a laborer, and by the 1920s had become a driver for Tony Accardo, one of the most enduring figures in American organized crime. Being Accardo's driver was not a job you got because you were good with directions. It was a position of trust. You saw everything. If you could keep your mouth shut, you moved up. Aiuppa also boxed under the name Joey O'Brien because Irish fighters earned better payouts on Chicago fight cards. He was a Sicilian kid pretending to be Irish to squeeze extra money out of a boxing promoter. That tells you how his mind worked. Find the angle, take the money, stay quiet about it. By the 1930s, Aiuppa had moved into the outfit's gambling operations in Cicero, Illinois, a mob stronghold since Al Capone set up shop there. Aiuppa ran bookmaking operations, underground casinos with hidden entrances, and a front company called Taylor & Company that was listed as a furniture manufacturer, but actually produced illegal slot machines. He held a charter membership in Local 450 of the Hotel and Restaurant Employees Union, which gave him leverage over the bars, restaurants, and clubs that hosted his gambling operations. He operated real estate holdings under a company called Rosemar Realty, named after his mother, and kept almost nothing in his own name. Cars, properties, and business interests went through relatives in shell companies. That kind of discipline kept the IRS off his back for decades, while other mob figures got taken down the way Capone had through their tax returns. From the late 1940s through the 1960s, Aiuppa controlled Cicero and built it into one of the outfit's richest territories. Chicago crime files from 1935 had listed him as a suspected triggerman and bank robber. By the time he ran Cicero, he had moved past enforcement into the quiet, steady earning that the outfit valued above everything else. Cicero was his foundation, but Aiuppa's Cicero empire was just the foundation. What he built on top of it would reshape Las Vegas. There is one detail that made Aiuppa a punchline to the public, but said something very different to people inside the outfit. In September 1962, FBI agents searching his car in Kansas found 563 frozen mourning doves. The legal limit was 24. Aiuppa received 3 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. The press gave him the nickname Joey Doves. He handled the arrest exactly how the outfit expected. He kept his mouth shut, and he went back to work. Then came the question of Sam Giancana. Giancana had led the outfit during the 1960s, but drawn massive federal attention, including connections to CIA plots against Fidel Castro that put him in front of a Senate committee. On June 19, 1975, someone walked into Giancana's home in Oak Park and shot him while he was cooking in his basement kitchen. The FBI believed Aiuppa participated in the decision to have Giancana killed because he refused to share his gambling profits from Mexico and had become a liability through his testimony. Other Giancana associates, including Johnny Roselli, were also murdered in the months and years that followed. Whoever was going to run the outfit going forward, it was not going to be anyone who talked. When Aiuppa became front boss in 1971, after Felix Aldericio went to prison, Tony Accardo was still alive. and still had final say over the biggest decisions. Accardo had outlasted nearly every mob boss in the country by staying invisible and letting other men absorb the public scrutiny. He and Aiuppa even bought houses near each other in Palm Springs, California, where they could discuss outfit business away from the FBI surveillance teams in Chicago. Aiuppa cleared anything with serious risk through Accardo. Before acting on it, Jackie Cerrone served as underboss. Angelo LaPietra controlled the First Ward and later became the liaison between Kansas City and Chicago for the Skim. Joseph Lombardo ran the West Side and had deep connections to the Teamsters through Alan Dorfman. This layered committee was the real structure behind Casino's Remo Gaggi. The film turned all of it into one man sitting alone at a table. The reality was a chain of command designed so that no single arrest could bring the operation down. Well, or at least that was the theory, because the Las Vegas operation was about to test it. The real business above Ace Rothstein and Nicky Santoro was the Skim, cash taken from casino count rooms before it was officially recorded. Never taxed, never reported, never traced to anyone unless the FBI could physically follow it from the casino to the man collecting it. The outfit accessed Las Vegas through the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund, which loaned over $62 million to a company called the Argent Corporation. Argent was run by Alan Glick, a San Diego real estate developer with no criminal record who could pass the Nevada Gaming Commission's background checks. That was the entire reason the outfit chose him. Glick used the Teamster loans to acquire 4 casinos: the Stardust, the Fremont, the Hacienda, and the Marina. On paper, Glick was an independent businessman running a legitimate gaming company. In reality, the outfit and its allies in Kansas City, Cleveland, and Milwaukee controlled the casinos through him. By 1979, the Nevada Gaming Commission had revoked Argent's gaming licenses after an investigation estimated that $7 million had been skimmed from the 4 properties. Frank Rosenthal, the real Ace Rothstein, managed the Stardust's day-to-day operations. Rosenthal was a gifted oddsmaker who understood the casino floor better than almost anyone working in Las Vegas at the time. But his primary function was making sure the Skim ran smoothly. Early on, Kansas City and Milwaukee had a dispute over how the stolen money should be divided. They brought it to Aiuppa. His solution was that Chicago would take a 25% cut and the arguing would stop. Every problem Aiuppa solved happened to increase Chicago's share. The mechanics of the Skim were simple in concept and elaborate in execution. Mob-placed casino employees pulled cash from count rooms before it was logged for tax purposes. That money was then handed off to couriers who moved it out of Nevada through a rotating series of routes. The FBI identified one courier, a Teamster official named Joseph Tallarico, who flew regularly from Las Vegas to Chicago with bundles of cash sewn into special pockets inside his suit jacket. Agents followed him from a rest stop outside Las Vegas, where he transferred the money from a paper bag into his coat lining, all the way to the Los Angeles airport onto his flight, and then from Chicago O'Hare directly to Aiuppa's home in suburban Illinois. That surveillance proved the connection the FBI had been chasing for years. They could now put Aiuppa's name at the end of a trail that started in the Stardust count room. But building a federal case strong enough to convict took the better part of a decade of wiretaps, financial forensics, and flipping witnesses. If you are still watching, hit subscribe. I cover organized crime history every week. Now let's talk about the man who nearly destroyed the entire operation. Anthony Spilotro, the real Nicky Santoro, had been sent to Las Vegas to protect the outfit's interests. Instead, he ran his own burglary crew called the Hole in the Wall Gang, drew constant FBI attention, and became one of the most visible mob figures in the city. Where Aiuppa valued silence and distance, Spilotro could not stay out of the newspapers. The FBI suspected him in over 20 murders. He was getting indicted regularly, and every headline with his name in it brought more heat to the casinos the outfit was trying to quietly rob. He also started a relationship with Jerry McGee, Frank Rosenthal's wife, creating personal chaos between two men who were both essential to the Las Vegas operation and giving the FBI yet another reason to keep the entire circle under surveillance. In 1982, someone put a pom-pom under Rosenthal's car in a Tony Roma's parking lot in Las Vegas. A metal plate under the driver's seat saved his life. In January 1983, Alan Dorfman, the insurance executive who had served as the critical link between the outfit and the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund for years, was shot 6 times in the head and neck in the parking lot of the Lincolnwood Hyatt House Hotel near Chicago. Dorfman had recently been convicted alongside Teamsters president Roy Williams on bribery charges and was facing a long prison sentence. Investigators believed the outfit killed him before he could negotiate a deal with federal prosecutors and testify about the pension fund loans that financed the entire casino operation. The message was clear: cooperate and you do not make it to the witness stand. The conspiracy was coming apart, and the consequences for Spilotro were about to arrive. On June 14, 1986, Tony and Michael Spilotro left Michael's home in Oak Park, Illinois. Michael told his wife that if he was not back by 9 o'clock, it was no good. He told his daughter he loved her at least 10 times before walking out the door. Both brothers removed their valuables and identification before leaving. They believed Michael was about to be formally inducted into the outfit. Instead, they were brought to a basement in Bensenville near O'Hare International Airport, where roughly 10 outfit members were waiting. According to testimony from Nicholas Calabrese during the 2007 Operation Family Secrets trial, Calabrese tackled Michael and held his legs, while another man strangled him with a rope. Tony asked his killers if he could say a prayer. Nobody answered. The brothers were beaten until they died. Forensic pathologists determined their lungs had filled with so much blood they suffocated. Their bodies were driven to a cornfield near Enos, Indiana, and buried 5 feet underground. A farmer found them 9 days later. The burial site was 5 miles from property Aiuppa owned near Morocco, Indiana. Casino shows this happening in the cornfield with baseball bats. The reality was a suburban basement, closed fists, and men the Spilotros thought they were meeting for a celebration. But the Spilotro murders were only part of the reckoning. On January 21st, 1986, a federal jury in Kansas City had already found Aiuppa, Cerrone, Lombardo, La Pietra, and Milton Rockman from Cleveland guilty of conspiring to hide their ownership of Glick's casinos and skimming $2 million from the Stardust, the Fremont, the Hacienda, and the Marina. The trial had lasted 4 months, beginning in September 1985. The original 1983 indictment named 15 defendants. Several pled guilty before or during the trial, including Milwaukee boss Frank Balistrieri and Kansas City's Carl DeLuna. Carl Thomas, originally a defendant, had his charges dropped in exchange for testimony and described from the witness stand exactly how the money was physically removed from count rooms and handed to couriers. The government's remaining evidence included wiretaps, financial documents from DeLuna's home detailing every payment among the conspirators, and testimony from key cooperating witnesses. Alan Glick described how the outfit forced him to hire Rosenthal at the Stardust. Former Teamsters president Roy Williams explained how mob influence directed the pension fund loans. Williams had hoped cooperating would reduce his own 10-year sentence for a separate bribery conviction, but a federal judge later ordered him to serve the full term anyway. Former Cleveland boss Angelo Leonardo testified about how skim money was distributed among the different families. Leonardo had been convicted as a drug kingpin and sentenced to life plus 103 years, and cooperated in exchange for a full pardon. Aiuppa was sentenced on March 27, 1986, to 28.5 years in federal prison. He was 78 years old. His defense attorneys argued the sentence was effectively a death sentence given his age. The judge allowed that Aiuppa could seek early parole if his health became terminal, but otherwise required him to serve at least a third of his term before becoming eligible. The prosecutor told the court that informants had identified Aiuppa as a sitting member of La Cosa Nostra's National Ruling Commission, and that the sentence reflected a conspiracy that had corrupted the Las Vegas casino industry from the inside for over a decade. Cerrone got the same 28 and a half years. Lombardo and La Pietra each got 16 years. Rockman got 24 years. Aiuppa served close to 10 years before being released in January 1996 from the Federal Medical Center in Rochester, Minnesota. By then, the outfit had passed through several more leaders. Joseph Ferriola took over after Aiuppa's conviction and ran things until cancer forced him out in 1988. Sam Carlisi, who had been Aiuppa's personal driver, took the reins after that. None of them had the reach Aiuppa once had because the old model was broken. The FBI had shown that even the most insulated boss could be connected to the money if investigators were patient enough and witnesses scared enough to flip. On February 22nd, 1997, Aiuppa died of natural causes at Elmhurst Memorial Hospital in Illinois. He was 89. He was buried at Queen of Heaven Cemetery in Hillside, the same cemetery where the Spilotro brothers had been laid to rest 11 years earlier. Casino came out in 1995, 1 year before Joey Aiuppa walked out of prison. The character Scorsese built from his story got maybe 20 minutes of screen time and a few phone calls. The real man behind Remo spent 40 years building power in Cicero, ran the outfit's operations for 15 more, and ended up convicted in a case that broke organized crime's hold on the Las Vegas casino industry. After those convictions, the era of mob-controlled casinos collapsed within a few years. Corporate gaming companies moved in with legitimate Wall Street financing. Nevada regulators overhauled their licensing process and started running the kind of background checks that would have stopped Alan Glick's loan application before it left the desk. The old model of Teamster loans, hidden ownership, and couriers carrying cash in coat linings did not survive the decade. Las Vegas became a corporate town, and the men who built it into a mob empire either died in prison or came home to a city that no longer had a place for them. The distance between Remo Gaggi and Joey Aiuppa is the distance between a movie and the machine it was based on. If you want to see how another mob empire collapsed from the inside, that video is on screen now.